Imagine being in the ocean, not knowing how to swim, where sharks are BJJ fighters. Would you attack them? I didn't think so.
That was impressive. Literally threw him in the air and just like on the back.
Let him swing, let him swing. Keep moving. You wait. How long are you gonna be able to do this? What do you got, 30 seconds in you?
Yeah.
How long you got? Oh, now you're tired. You don't really know how to fight. You just wanted to hit me.
You don't get to see regular people take on trained jiu-jitsu fighters every day.
Vamos la araña, vamos la araña.
BJJ fighters go through a lot of difficult training routines that turn them into very dangerous fighters.
Ay, se fueron al piso. La araña domina, la araña domina.
Ones you definitely don't want to be unlucky enough to face. The gap between a trained and untrained fighter is so wide, we can say with full certainty that these trained grapplers will whoop any untrained person on the mat any day. They've got so many techniques they can execute that will have you tapping out in a few seconds, and if you're really tough, minutes. But how do we know this? Well, there's evidence. We have been fortunate enough to witness some unusual fights between normal people and trained jiu-jitsu fighters. And as you would expect, most of these fights took place outside of a tournament scenario, as it is highly unlikely that a trained BJJ fighter would be allowed to compete with an untrained person. Number 1. Robson Moura. First on our list is Robson Moura. One of the qualities of a fine leader is accepting responsibility. So when a tough-looking man walked into Robson Moura's Tampa school to challenge anyone to a fight, Moura once again showed just how fine a leader he is by taking on the challenge. Moura, who is the head coach of the RMNU headquarters in Florida, wasn't going to just stand there and let his academy be ridiculed. Robson Moura accepted the challenge on the condition that if he kicks his opponent's butt in 5 minutes, the challenger would register to be a student in the school. In less than 3 minutes, Robson had this guy breathing so hard, you would think he was chased by a lion.
All right, that's short.
In a contest that can be described as strength versus technique, Robson Moura showed the big tough guy just how important technique is in jiu-jitsu. Well, the RMNU had to register a new student that day. Number 2. 130 pounds one-stripe white belt versus 185 pounds untrained fighter. To be honest, judging by the difference in weight, if the white belt fighter had lost to his opponent, we would not have been too disappointed. Not only is he a white belt, but he has only one stripe, meaning he is still relatively new to the game. So, when his opponent had him in a headlock during the match, we thought to ourselves, surely this must be the end of the fight. It wasn't too bad for a white belt going up against a much bigger opponent. But somehow, our rookie white belt fighter showed that he had skills with a technique he used to escape the headlock and swiftly submit his opponent.
Ooh! That's it, you're done. Oh, it's not tap.
Safe to say that even a one-stripe white belt is better than no belt. Number 3. Black belt humiliates street fighter. In a viral YouTube video, a trained black belt fighter can be seen humiliating a street fighter who was foolish enough to go up against him. This street fighter relied so much on strength, but against a black belt, you're going to need more than just strength if you want to stand a chance.
I don't know what your problem is. What's your problem?
Number 4. Matheus Gabriel. Matheus Gabriel isn't a grappler to be messed with. A fighter who has won many championships, you can tell that he is no pushover. But when Bodybuilder and YouTuber Ty Burkhart wanted to try his hand in a jiu-jitsu match, he linked up with Gabriel at Guy Mesger's gym. Ty, weighing 250 pounds, probably thought that his strength and physique would intimidate the much smaller Gabriel, who weighed 150 pounds. The bodybuilder had no idea that he was in for a shock. While the bodybuilder struggled throughout the match, you could tell that Gabriel was having fun, sometimes messing with his opponent. Even with his much smaller body size, Matheus Gabriel was ruthless against his opponent, submitting him several times in the less than 5-minute fight. Number 5. BJJ Student Helps Cop Make an Arrest. A video shows a BJJ student assisting the police in arresting a suspect who was proving difficult. In the video, you can see the student using several jiu-jitsu techniques to hold down the suspect. Apart from the use of techniques the suspect couldn't escape from, the BJJ student remained calm throughout, even helping the police officer handcuff the guy. Once the cuffs were in place, you can hear the BJJ student telling the officer to release some of the pressure since the suspect stood no chance of escaping.
He's not going nowhere. Get up. I'm going to, brothers. Just relax. Go ahead. Take your time, man. You're good. You're good. Take your time.
Number 6. 300 pounds bodybuilder versus black belt. 300 pounds bodybuilder and YouTuber Antoine Vaillant grappled with a black belt named Cobb at the Athena Academy. Physically, Vaillant looks so big that you might think he would intimidate Cobb, but jiu-jitsu is more about technique than physique. Cobb, who looks tiny compared to the Hulk that Vaillant is, submitted the bodybuilder 3 times. From start to finish, Vaillant never looked like he stood a chance. Number 7. 250 pounds football player versus black belt. When he traded the football pitch for a mat, the big football player probably thought all he needed to defeat the black belt was strength and speed. But less than 15 seconds into the match, he knew he was in big trouble. And unlike in football, his teammates wouldn't be coming to his rescue. Number 8. Footballer versus purple belt. In this clip, a footballer managed to stay on his feet in his first round against a BJJ purple belt, but he was still submitted in less than 30 seconds into the match. Maybe he watched tons of jiu-jitsu videos, saw lots of fighters rolling on the mat, and thought to himself, if I can stay on my feet, I'll defeat my opponent. Little could he tell that it takes more than just staying on your feet to win a BJJ match. Even while standing, he lost to a submission technique. That just shows how unpredictable jiu-jitsu can be. Number 9. Rambo Guns Bodybuilder versus Pete Wilhelm. Well, with his big bodybuilder physique, Rambo could defeat almost anybody in a fight, but not a trained jiu-jitsu fighter, and definitely not a black belt. Wilhelm had Rambo locked up so fast that Rambo accused him of cheating. Eventually, it turned from a match to a circus show, with Wilhelm toying with Mr. Tough Guy, even asking him who the boss was. Obviously, Rambo knew who the boss was because the confidence he walked onto the mat with had disappeared into thin air. Number 10. Bodybuilder versus blue belt. For this young bodybuilder, the match was an eye-opener to how far apart their skill levels were. The bodybuilder looked helpless throughout the match, which lasted less than 5 minutes. He seemed to have no idea what he was doing, always finding himself trapped in locks he couldn't escape from. Clearly, the blue belt was going easy on him, but even the easy was too much for him to handle. A neutral observer, judging from their body sizes, would think they were evenly matched, but once they got rolling on the mat, you could tell the difference. The untrained fighter was no match for a blue belt BJJ fighter. This was way too easy for him. The gap in skill is just too wide for these untrained individuals to stand a chance. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Like and comment, share, and finally, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.